I'm Candy Dykeman. I am from the Mankato office, and I have with me.
Kevin Sharkey, I'm from the metro area office
All
in the top.
right,
So, good
perfect.
morning,
Thank you
everyone.
for joining. So today we're going to do something a little different than we've done in the past. Today we're going to do more of an open forum conversation. So we're going to get everybody involved and allow you time to share some of your thoughts and ideas as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a scenario, and then we're going to put you guys into small breakout rooms, and then you guys can discuss how you would handle that situation. And then you're going to come back and we're going to learn all together different ways to handle the situations. I think it's going to be fun. So I hope you guys enjoy this new format. We're only going to do it one time a month. So we'll see how it works. And we'll obviously we would appreciate some feedback. So how we're going to do it is Kevin and I, again, we're going to give you a situation. I'm going to read it off to you here in a minute. And then Kevin and I are going to talk about how we handle the situation so you can kind of see what we're talking about in the dialogue that we have. And then we're going to put you into those breakout rooms. So our first scenario we're going to give you today is pricing pushback. Who doesn't have that when you go to a listing appointment and they say that their house is worth $50,000 more than what you think it should be at, and they cite a neighbor's recent sale? How do you handle this discussion and ensure the client feels heard while maintaining professional integrity? All right, Kevin, I'll let you go. How would you handle that situation?
Well, I would say first, let's. Um, I would just call Candy and say, Candy, what do I do? So that's the easy fix on that one. So I'd like to answer any questions that the participants might have about this term, and then I'd like to send one if we can send them into the breakout rooms, have them tell us what they would do, because
Okay.
I hate to taint their thoughts at all.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Good idea.
yeah, and then it's let's say so right now just answer any questions they might have about the parameters of it, and
Okay.
then and we'll be in the breakout rooms too. And part of the reason that we came up with this exercise is that we've got many multiple offices, and not all of us know each other. Not all of us get to interact with each other on a regular basis. So we thought this would be a really good exercise to get into the breakout rooms. Sorry about my cat. He's very interested in what I'm doing this morning.
I have one too.
Yeah. And so to interact with each other. One of the coolest parts about exercises like this is we do get to know each other a little bit more. Hopefully, over the course of the year, we'll get to know each other personally better. So when we get together for these group events, it's people going, they're just happy to see each other. So that's kind of the rationale behind doing this. It's a good exercise, and I've always said that we learn more from each other than we do from anybody else. So I love learning like this. Um, but if you don't mind, Candy, I'd like to answer any questions and then send them out into break rooms, see what they come up with, and then see what we all think as a group. Would that make any
Perfect.
sense?
Yep. Nope. That sounds great. Okay. So again, here's your scenario. A seller insists that their home is worth $50,000 more than you suggested listing their price at. They cite a neighbor's recent sale. How do you handle this discussion and ensure the client feels heard while maintaining professional integrity? That's your scenario. Okay, so what we're going to put you guys into breakout rooms. I want you to have one spokesperson so that when we come back as a group, that person is going to tell us some of the different ways that your group got together and talked about. Does that make sense to everybody? If you have a question on that, raise your hand. I don't see any hand raising. Okay, I think we're good. And then Kevin and I are going to float around to the rooms and just maybe help with the discussion a little bit. If you're stuck on something or just kind of hear what you guys are saying. So, all right. So Carla is going to put us into our breakout room. So go ahead and do that, Carla. Oh, how did your conversations go? I hope they all went well. One thing that I thought of when we went into the break room is like Kevin said earlier, we're trying to get to know everybody. So I think cameras on is going to be a good thing. Okay. So if we can have cameras on when we're in our breakout rooms, at least for sure, that would be helpful because then we can start putting faces together. because I'm not always best at the names, but if I see a face, I'm like, oh yes, I remember I was in a breakout room with her. Okay, so let's start with I'm just gonna go here. Kelly, who were you in a breakout room with?
I was in a breakout room with Nathan and Tamara.
All right. Who was your spokesperson?
We didn't actually get to that. Tamara's planning.
All right, well, which one of you three wants to volunteer to give your thoughts of what you guys talked about?
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Okay. We didn't quite finish because we had some fun doing intros. But basically for the case study part, what Kelly brought up first and foremost, which I do think is the most important, is you ask your seller questions. Be an active listener, which is sales 101, asking them why. And then really what you're doing there is you're trying to flush out really what is their why for doing that. And it's going to probably go beyond just what we always call the sticks and bricks, you know, the physical house itself. And you're probably going to get down to some of their motivations. And then really that's really a good exercise to show them that, you know, you're going to actively do this through the whole transaction. You're going to care about it through the whole transaction. And ultimately, what I was saying towards the end there when it broke up is that I've had this happen. I've told people I'm here for support. I'm here to be a resource. It's your money. If that's really where you want to go, then let's go there. And then let's have the market tell us really what it is, and have an established plan up front for price reductions. I do showing reports and off-market reports every Tuesday for properties like that, just to say, hey, here's the houses that got showings. Here's where our showings were. Here's what came off the market. What do you think? And by doing that, usually they'll come to the realization that it's just not going to be a winning formula for them.
All right. Perfect.
Nathan, because I know you're one of the few agents in the world who knows how to find that report. Where do you find that? Because I think I have found that to be just a incredible tool in North Star. I'm not sure if everyone has North Star, but at least in the North Star platform, where is it?
Or it's in showing time. So if you use showing time to book and manage your showings as listing or showing agents, there is a tab in showing time that's called reports. And then the very bottom one there is called target market analysis, I believe is what it's called. And you go into there, and then it's way more limited than a search like by North Star, but you can limit your field down by zip code, city, single family or townhome, and price points. And then you can put in a date range, and it'll tell you all the showings that happened within that criteria. You can't really dive into it super deep. You can't filter lakeshore versus regular houses, new construction versus existing. You can't filter out inspections or appraisals, but it'll still give you enough of a report where you can get down and say, okay, here are the 8 houses in our competing price range. There was 16 showings. We got 0. I mean, you can still tell a story by it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a really cool. We use an awful lot with sellers, just trying to keep them notified what's going on, because I think that feedback is so important, especially in a slow market. But it just helps you get your pricing locked in that much better.
For sure. Okay, good job. Anything else to share? You covered some good points. Tamara, Kelly, did you guys think of anything else that he didn't share? Okay, sounds good. All right. Bob and Lori, you guys were in a room together. Who wants to be your spokesperson?
We nominated Bob.
All right, Bob, go for it. Bob, you got to take your mic off though.
Better?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
All right. We had a conversation basically that much similar, but we can't really control the seller's other than give them information and obviously lead them to a conclusion that potentially they have to make their own decision on. We had hit on several things. One being I use a percentage. So I have a range in which when I do a market analysis, I don't give them an exact number. I give them a range and percentages of potential sale. So if I give a upper range of X and a lower range of Y, the percentage of sell on X, which is the upper range, would be fewer people going through, and Y would be more people going through with potential multiple offer situations. So I've used pie charts in which shows how many buyers actually be going at different range levels, which gives them a bit of a pause to look at, and also gives them a decision factor in which they understand that if they really want that upper range, they can actually do that, but it will take a little more time and less people will be going through their house. So what did I miss, Lori?
Kind of, I mean, just making sure that they understand, we have to be able to compare their neighbor's house apples to apples, and because no house is exactly alike, no house smells exactly alike. And you know, just to let them know that they are in control. We can try anything, but give them kind of a time limit on, you know, if we don't get any action within 2 weeks or after so many showings, then we probably need to readjust the price.
I'm just making notes here. Okay. All right. Perfect. And then do you go by Kathleen or Kathy? You're on mute.
Good.
Kathy.
Okay. Perfect.
I go
All
by
right.
Kathy.
We'll
All right.
go
I
with-
made a new friend, Belinda Sternberg,
Yay.
and she does commercial, and that's unusual within our company. So she lives in what was the name of it? Superior, Wisconsin. So I think we're going to do a road trip, meet halfway or something. So that was really cool. And her example was a commercial deal, which is what drew me to her. And for her, it was, I don't think she's still here. She had to
No,
leave.
she had to leave. Yeah.
She talked about educating the seller, in that when you've got comps, you sit down with them and say, I know you want $100,000 more than these other, you know, than you should be charging to list your house or your property. And then she would show them the 4 comps that she had and say, okay, well, this one's operation. These are all operational. Yours is not. So she showed them reasons for the pricing, that it just didn't make any sense. You know, she was very kind about it, I'm sure. But the important thing was showing them physical differences between the property that they have and the ones that they would be compared to. And I have never had a deal where somebody wanted a lot more money than I thought it should be listed at. So I don't have that experience in residential. Obviously, that's there's a lot more people that have had it. So I don't have that experience. So thanks. That's our little report.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Okay. So Kevin, what would you do in that situation?
I think we've discussed a lot of you know your tactics onto it. I generally will just try to just, you know, incrementally reduce the price down to get to the price point. You know, we just had one on Woodbury that it was listed at 500. My initial thought was 475, but they, you know, they wanted 500, so we did that. We were on the market for 85 days, and we dropped it when this is a question for everyone too. Do you do drops of 5,000 or 10,000? Because I do 25,000. If I think we're that far out of the market, I'm really going to say we've had 42 showings in 35 days. We've done our share getting the market out there. Clearly, the price is not attractive to the buyers. So in this case, we dropped to 25, and it was on the market for another 30 days, and finally got an offer in. We dropped it down to 459. Pain points, understanding that this is their money, but it's also having 80 some odd showings in your house with 2 small kids. That's a lot of stress. At some point, you're going to want to just you will see reality and accept a good offer. But we just try to work with them. Every scenario is different. You can't just say, this is what we're going to do, and here's my format for it. Here's my program. I like what Nathan has to say about just trying to understand what their mindset is and work with that. How about you, Candy? What's your magic?
Well, I don't know if I have any magic neither. A lot of what was already said, I think that, I always try and it probably still happens to me, but I always bounce things off my husband. He's been in the real estate world, although he's a builder, for many years. And he just always, like when I would tell him, yeah, I didn't get that listing. He's like, why? I said, well, we were too far apart on pricing. And he's like, you gotta try to get the number that's in their head before you do your presentation. So I've kind of have incorporated that into my very first appointment. If you were going to sell to your neighbor, what do you think you would sell your house for? Now, sometimes I get people say, well, you're the expert. That's why you're here. And I say, well, we laugh, and I say, but, okay, reality. What do you think you'd sell your house for if somebody asked you today? And then I can normally get them to say, oh, well, 500. And then I'll say, and where did you get your 500 from? Well, the neighbors down the street sold for ABC, or, my father-in-law was here and he said it should sell for that, right? So I always kind of try to get that information, because if I go to a listing appointment and I'm that far off, I'm probably not going to get it. And it makes me, in their eyes, look like I don't know what I'm talking about, right? We all have hundreds of examples, right? But one example is I had a house that my husband built 25 years ago. And so I pre-talked to him about, like, what do you think this should be priced at? You're in the building world, and it's, he's a high-end builder. And he was like, boy, if it's at, he told me what it cost to build was like 900, but that was 25 years ago. He's like, but it's dated, they've done nothing in it, so blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, maybe, 1.5, maybe, like that'd be the max. And I got there and I asked them, and they're like, well, we were thinking like 2.4. I was like, oh, we are a long ways off. So I kind of had to backtrack a little bit. And I just asked them why. And they just said, it's just the number we want. I was like, well, I said, do you have any comps to support that? Nope. Went through the whole, well, it might not appraise. We don't care. We'll wait. There'll be a cash buyer out there somewhere. And I'm like, for $2 million? But anyways, long story short, they said to me, if you can't get on board with it, and if you can't convince people it's worth $2 million, then you're probably not our agent. And I said, oh, well, I'm up for the challenge. I most certainly can do great marketing around it, and I can get on board with that. We sold it, believe it or not, for like 2.50, I think, 2.050. So not far off from what the number they wanted. So I did feel a little dumb, but I still think the people overpaid. They just really wanted to be in that house. So I always try to get what number they're talking about. And for that actually has really helped me a lot. Now, you do have some people that are they're not going to tell you whatsoever. And then I kind of just got to go with it. But I really, really try to get that ahead of time. Some things that you guys have already mentioned, but I spend a lot of time talking about, if you're using the Moxie presentation, they have the factors that affect your pricing. And I really spend time talking about those factors, and they can kind of relate, tell a little story, but really go over those factors. So I do that. And then I spend time, I don't know if anybody else does it, but I go into every comp that I'm talking about, and we look at all the pictures, and I say along the way, how do you think your house compares to this house? Oh, this house is way better than mine. Okay, this house is listed, just a reminder, at 500,000, and you think this is better than yours. And it was on the market for 75 days. And then we'll go to the next one. I would ask them along the way, you know, oh, this one, this primary bath is updated. Is yours, you haven't done anything to yours, right? Nope, nope. Okay. As a reminder, this is listed at 500,000. So I kind of try to pull out features that I know are going to impact their price and let them see the pictures of, oh, yeah, that's why that house was priced more. I think other than that, we have everything else that that everyone else has kind of talked about. I always kind of try to, of course, and sometimes it's a factor of, well, we need 500,000 out of this house so that we can get to our next house. Well, do you really need it or do you want it? And if you don't get 500, will you not be going to the next house? Well, sometimes it's it's just what we want. And some people are like, yeah, if we don't get this, then we can't financially afford to move. And then I think that's a whole new conversation. Well, you might not get that price for it. So you got to be prepared for that conversation as well. That doesn't come up with me as much. But I think a lot of people, and then you'll get, well, I want to pay off my credit cards and I want to, buy a motorcycle or all these other things, which don't really affect how you price a house, but they think it does. And that goes in those factors that are on the Moxie report. All right, so in summary, let's see where we're at. Well, 9:40, but I'm just going to kind of, in summary, if anybody's taken notes of things that you all shared with, is probably the most important one is be an active listener. Learn their why and where did they get their pricing from. Support what they're saying, but have your reasons why as well. And say, this is your journey. I say that is my absolute favorite line. This is your journey. I'm just here to be on it with you and here to guide you through it. But at the end of the day, it's their money. If they want their house, it's their house. If they want their house to sit on the market for longer than average, that's up to them. Have a plan in place. I think Kevin said it, and I think Nathan said it, just have a plan. If it doesn't sell at the price that they want it to sell at, have that plan up front. Say to them, you know what? I do support your price. We're going to market the heck out of it. We're going to do the best we can, but let's revisit this in 2 to 3 weeks and be prepared to do a price reduction. And like Kevin said, you got to talk about what that price reduction looks like. We all know a $5,000 to $7,000 price reduction doesn't work. I mean, if somebody wanted to write an offer, they'd do that and just lower the price by that. Anyways, it has to be an impactful one. Of course, that's going to vary depending on your house that you're listing at that price point too. Be the provider of education. Just be the educator for them. You can only do so much. You can only give them the information. They can do with it what they want. Give them a range. I can't remember who said that one, but give them a range. I think it was Bob. Here's your low end of the range. Here's the high end of the range. And what happens if you're in the low end of the range or the high end of the range? So they have that expectation as well. I think what I'm hearing a lot from you guys is have that expectation set so that they don't come back and be like, well, you never told me that. Making sure that they're understanding the comparisons. Look at the features, like Lori said, the features, the smells, the location. No houses are the same unless they're in our area. We have a one builder that builds them all the same. But once they've been moved into, now they're not the same because the condition's not the same. Let's see here. I think education is probably a big one. Point out all the differences between the houses, understanding their why. Not sure who said that one, but that one's super important. Yeah, that was everybody's notes. Anybody have anything extra to add to that?
Well,
I'm just going to say, you guys are all talking about communication. At the end of the day, the more the communication, like the relationship is I just was listening to all of this, and it's communication. As long as you're talking with them, expectations. I mean, you guys are awesome. Those were some wonderful examples, but I just wanted to throw out there, communication is key. You guys all talked about it.
And that it's funny you say that, Carla, because I say that too when I was training agents all the time. That's the first thing I would say is communication is key, no matter in business, personal, whatever relationship you have. If you're not communicating with that other party or that other person, you're building a wall. And you can't have walls when you're trying to get something done, especially when you're negotiating on a price of a property. So yeah, good point.
Does anybody set up like a communication schedule with their sellers? Like, do you say, okay, every Friday we're going to have a call at 10 o'clock, or maybe not quite as, solid, but just a communication schedule with them?
I mean,
Nathan, hey, you're pretty
no, I
regular.
don't. I do schedule that off market and showing report. Just so much of our inventory in the cities gets managed by administrators. So if things sold over the weekend, they're often not put into the MLS till sometime even late Monday. So I'd always do that on Tuesdays. I did when I worked with builders, especially custom builders, selling for them, then it was always very important to have a set time where you were communicating and going through things, because then there's a lot of parties involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, good point. Good point. I usually, I always remind them about the, oh my gosh, missing the title of the report that goes out. Lori, it's Mondays. I think they get it now at like 4
The
o'clock.
golden ruler.
There you go, the golden ruler. I do point that out to them, like that's one way of communicating. So I always use the tool for sure. It's there. Everyone likes that. Like they think, oh, that's the way of communicating, but you still physically have to call them and check in with them. And no one likes to wonder what's happening with their listing. I'm going to wait and see if she suggests a price reduction. And that's maybe another quick question here. When you're going to do a price reduction, do you think it should be your idea or their idea? Start talking.
I think if you set the expectation that if things aren't happening within a certain time frame, then you have that mutual agreement that this is what's going to happen, because we haven't met that goal yet. We haven't got an offer yet. We've only, we've had, 20 showings and it's been 2 weeks and we still have nothing. So I think that's the expectation that you set.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't like it when I have in my head, okay, I'm going to call them on Friday and then they call me on Thursday. You should do a price reduction. Yeah, I was just going to call you, and I really was. But they don't think of it that way. They think, oh yeah, I had to suggest the price reduction, right? If that happened to anybody else?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that went a little faster. We didn't have as many participants on today, so that went probably a little bit faster than normal. If you like this format, spread the word to your other agents in your office. If anybody has any questions on anything, reach out. Our next topic is going to be, should I share it with them, Kevin?
Here.
All right. I got to look it up quick though. We have like a year's worth of topics for you guys. Buyer's market dilemma. A buyer is convinced they can make an offer $100,000 under the asking price in a competitive market. They are unwilling to take your advice about market trends. How do you respond? Or maybe the number's more like 30,000 less, maybe. Kevin must be in a really high market up there. Sometimes we don't have houses that are $100,000 in value. So that will be our next topic. Again, we're going to be doing this monthly. It looks like we're the third Thursday of the month. Is that right, Carla, roughly? Okay. So if you like the format, great. We appreciate you guys coming on. If you have any suggestions for us, this is just a trial. So if you have any suggestions, let us know and spread the word to your other agents in your office. We'd love to have the more interaction we can have with other people, the more ideas you're going to get to help your business grow as well. Okay.
Yeah. Any other topics? I mean, because we get involved in stuff in real time in the real world, and those are the ones that really have a lot of nuance to it. So if you've got a situation, we'd love to hear about it and then dissect it as a group.
Yeah.
This is the fun stuff.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. The more you know, the more you grow. All right. that is all we have for you guys. Thanks for checking in, and we'll
Good
see you
job.
next time. All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Everybody have a
guys.
good,
Thank you.
happy, healthy
Bye.
day.
Thank
Bye.